At 28 years old, Jay lived a life painted in shades of grey, following the path his parents set for him. He was the good Korean son, studious, obedient, silent. But inside, his world was a riot of color, hidden in a black sketchbook. His art was his only truth, a secret language of longing and emotion. At home, silence was his shield. Every choice was measured against impossible expectations. He felt like a ghost, his real self fading beneath the weight of duty. Each drawing was both sanctuary and a reminder of the distance from his family. He loved them, but their dreams for him felt like chains. The silence was the price he paid for their love, and somewhere out there, 30-year-old Nate was waiting to change everything. Nate's world was always loud, slammed doors, harsh words, and the echo of coming out to his Vietnamese family. Every argument seemed to linger in the air, every silence heavy with things left unsaid. The apartment he grew up in was filled with the scent of home-cooked meals and the weight of expectations, but also with the fear of not belonging. When he left home, he traded tradition for freedom, but found loneliness waiting for him in the quiet. The city lights outside his window couldn't fill the emptiness inside. He missed the familiar chaos, the comfort of routine, even the arguments that once made him feel trapped. Guilt haunted him, whispering that he'd broken his family, that he was the reason for their pain. He replayed old conversations, wondering if he could have done things differently, if there was a way to be true to himself without causing so much hurt. Slowly, he built a new life with chosen family, friends who understood, late-night talks over takeout, and work as a graphic designer that let him express what he couldn't say out loud. His apartment became a canvas for his identity, filled with art, plants, and laughter that felt genuine. People saw his strength, his independence, but not the nights spent staring at his phone, longing for his mother's voice, scrolling through old messages, hoping for a sign that things could be mended. He had a younger brother, Min, whose wedding invitation sat accusingly on his counter, a reminder of the family gatherings he missed, the milestones he watched from afar. To return meant facing rejection all over again. To stay away meant severing the last thread to his past. Each choice felt impossible, each day a balancing act between hope and regret. Friends became his lifeline, the family he chose. But even in laughter, he sometimes felt adrift, like a guest in his own life, always searching for something just out of reach. He was out and free, able to live openly, but not whole. The city offered endless possibilities, but none could fill the space left by family. Nate longed for a quiet love, a safe harbor from the storm inside, a place where he could rest without fear, where acceptance was unconditional. He was a ship without anchor, searching for a place to belong, drifting between worlds, hoping to find peace somewhere between who he was and who he wanted to be. The ache of family never truly left him, a quiet longing that shaped every day, reminding him that home is not always a place, but sometimes a hope you carry with you. The community center was bright, alive with laughter and the gentle hum of conversation. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, painting the walls with warmth and possibility. It was a place that seemed to promise new beginnings, a stark contrast to the quiet, heavy solitude Jay had grown used to. For Jay, it felt like stepping into another world, a world away from the shadows that clung to him at home, where silence often spoke louder than words. Drawn by a simple flyer for an Asian LGBTQ+ group, Jay found himself at the threshold, heart pounding, hands trembling. He hesitated, unsure if he belonged, but hope flickered inside him, fragile, yet persistent. Then, across the room, he noticed Nate, whose open smile and kind eyes seemed to invite him in. There was a quiet understanding in Nate's gaze, as if he recognized the uncertainty in Jay and welcomed it. Nate's encouraging nod was like a lifeline tossed across a chasm. Jay took a deep breath and joined the art therapy session, feeling the first threads of connection begin to form. Charcoal in hand, Jay let his emotions spill onto the page. He drew a caged bird, its wings pressed tight, its eyes searching for freedom. Each line was heavy with fear, longing, and the ache of dreams deferred. Nate approached quietly, offering gentle encouragement. "You have real talent. There's so much feeling in your lines," he said, his words soft but sincere. For Jay, it was more than praise. It was recognition. For the first time, Jay felt truly seen, not as a dutiful son or a silent observer, but as himself, with all his hopes and fears laid bare. As the session ended and people began to pack up, Jay realized something had shifted. The loneliness he carried felt lighter, replaced by a quiet sense of belonging. It was a tentative connection, fragile as a brushstroke, but it shimmered with hope, a hope that maybe, just maybe, he could find his place. Two souls, each carrying their own scars, found comfort in each other's presence. In that quiet moment, they began to discover the missing pieces they'd been searching for. Jay stepped out into the sunlight, his heart lighter than when he arrived. The world outside, once grey and unwelcoming, now seemed to glow with new colour. Each step he took felt more certain, as if the ground itself was cheering him on. The city, once overwhelming, now felt full of possibility. This was the start of their story, a story painted with courage, vulnerability, and the promise of connection. Their friendship grew in the quiet between words. Coffee after art group became routine. Long silences, shared glances, unspoken understanding. Jay showed Nate sketches of burdened figures. Nate simply said, "I get it." Nate shared his own pain, family rejection, the ache of Min's wedding. Art became their bridge gallery visits, late-night projects, creative synergy. Trust built slowly, small acts, thoughtful gifts, silent support. For Jay, acceptance was revolutionary. For Nate, it was healing. They found safety in each other, a quiet harbor in a turbulent world. No longer just a closeted son and a disowned one. They were artists, alive with color. Their bond deepened, wordless but profound. Together they created beauty from pain. In each other, they found a place to belong. The fragile peace of Jay's home shattered the moment his mother stumbled upon his sketchbook, hidden beneath a pile of textbooks. She hadn't meant to pry, but curiosity led her to a discovery she never expected. As she flipped through the pages, her eyes widened at the drawings. Men, longing, a caged bird desperate for freedom. Her breath caught, and she recoiled, unable to process the truth staring back at her in charcoal and ink. That evening, dinner was a silent battlefield. The clatter of chopsticks was the only sound, each bite heavy with unspoken words. His parents' disappointment hung in the air, thick and suffocating, making every swallow feel like a betrayal. Alone in his room, Jay stared at the ceiling, his secret world now exposed and colliding violently with reality. He felt adrift, as if the ground beneath him had vanished, leaving only uncertainty and fear. Meanwhile, across town, Nate received Min's wedding invitation. The phone rang. His mother's voice was clipped. "Just for one day, behave." The message was clear. Play the part. Don't make waves, and above all, don't embarrass the family. Both Jay and Nate felt the sting of being seen as props in their families' carefully constructed lives, not as sons with dreams and fears of their own. The isolation was palpable, a wall built from expectations and silence. Nights became the hardest. Jay wandered the city streets, searching for answers in the glow of neon signs, while Nate sat in his car, gripping the steering wheel, wishing for a place where he could simply exist. The relentless pressure from both families, the weight of tradition and expectation, pushed Jay and Nate closer together. In each other, they found a rare and precious understanding. Over coffee in a quiet cafe, they confided in each other. Jay spoke of the sketchbook and the fallout at home, while Nate shared his dread about the wedding and the impossible standards he was expected to meet. Both faced impossible choices: to be themselves and risk losing their families, or to hide and lose themselves. The dilemma gnawed at them day and night, leaving them exhausted and uncertain. Their pain was mirrored, their struggles intertwined, as if they were living parallel lives on opposite sides of the same storm. In each other's arms, they found comfort. A gentle reminder that they weren't alone, that someone else understood the silent battles they fought every day. The world demanded their silence, but together, they began to find the courage to speak, to share their truths, and to stand up for themselves, even if their voices trembled. Their bond grew stronger with every challenge, every harsh word, every moment of doubt. United, they faced the world's expectations, determined to carve out a space where they could belong. They were soldiers in different trenches of the same war, fighting for the right to be seen, to be loved, and to be themselves. The choice between authenticity and acceptance threatened to tear them apart, but the hope of something better kept them moving forward. And so, step by step, they began to choose themselves. And in doing so, they found the beginnings of freedom. The wait became too much for Jay. After another week of silent dinners, he broke down at Nate's apartment, sobbing out years of fear and longing. "I can't be who they want, but I can't lose them," he confessed. Nate listened, offering quiet comfort and sharing his own story of rejection and rebuilding. In their shared vulnerability, something shifted. They were no longer just friends, but survivors. The dam had broken, forging a deeper connection. In the wreckage of their pasts, they found hope in each other. The confrontation came at a family gathering. Jay's uncle overheard a call with Nate and exposed him in front of everyone. Accusations flew. His mother wept. His father disowned him. Jay stood in his truth. "He's someone I care about." The rejection was swift and absolute. He was cast out, untethered. "Lost," he called Nate, who welcomed him with open arms. Nate offered no platitudes, just presence. In the quiet of Nate's apartment, Jay found a moment of solace. He had lost his birth family, but found the meaning of a chosen one. The pain was raw, but he was not alone. Nate's embrace was a safe harbor in the storm. Jay's world had shattered, but a new foundation was forming. In loss, he discovered the possibility of love. Grieving, Jay stayed with Nate, moving through the days like a shadow. With Nate's support, he found a tiny studio, his own space, his own life. He left business school for art, pouring pain and hope into his canvases. The caged bird now soared free. Jay was no longer silent. He was an artist, learning to love himself. Nate cheered him on, proud at his first exhibition. Inspired, Nate faced his own family, seeking closure, not forgiveness. He spoke his truth to his father, letting go of hope for acceptance. The conversation wasn't a miracle, but it brought release. Nate chose peace over conditional love. Returning to Jay, he felt lighter. Scarred but unbroken, they were ready to build a future together. From the ruins, they created something new. Spring arrived, cherry blossoms in bloom. Jay and Nate walked beneath them, hand in hand. A quiet, public declaration. The silence between them was now filled with love. The past year had been pain and growth, but together, they'd built a safe world. Nate said, "I love you." Jay replied, "I love you too." It was a promise for the future. Scars would remain, but so would their courage. Family wounds heal slowly, but they had each other, their art, and chosen family. They had the bravery to live authentically. As petals rained down, Jay leaned on Nate's shoulder. He was finally home. This was the quiet revolution of choosing love. Happiness was possible, even after a long, hard winter. Together, they found their spring.